In this video we will see how to join granny squares using the slip stitch zipper join. For this tutorial I prepared 4 granny squares using Aran weight acrylic yarn, and I made my squares using a 5.1mm hook. However, for joining the squares using the slip stitch zipper join, I'm going to use a 6.5mm hook. And this is because, as the name says, slip stitch zipper join, this joining method uses slip stitches which tend to be tighter than regular double crochet stitches, so I always like to go 1 or 2 hook sizes up compared to the hook that I use for my granny squares, so that the join is not too tight. So I'm going to put away my 5.5mm hook, and I will continue with my 6.5mm hook. I'll take the same yarn that I used for making my squares, which is this Stylecraft special iron, and we can get started. So I will start by joining first these 2 squares, the pink and the yellow one. So I'll go in this direction and then join the green and the blue, and then we will see how to go in the opposite direction. So for now I will put these 2 squares on the side and just focus on these 2. So for the slip stitch join we are going to work in the back loops only of the stitches. So with the right side of the granny square facing you, you can find all the back loops by going in the loop that is the farthest away from you. So this would be the front loop, and this is the back loop. So we're always working in the back loops only. We're going to start joining from one of the corners. At the corners we have 2 chains, and I always go in the one that is immediately before the double crochet that we need to join. I place my yarn close to my hook and pull up a loop. Then I do the same in the corresponding chain on the other square. So this is the corner that I'm going to join to this one. So I go in the corresponding chain, which is this one just before this double crochet. I insert my hook in the back loop only, and I'm going to make another slip stitch. Okay, so I'm gonna show you again. So we had pulled up a loop in this yellow square, then I go in the corner of the pink square, yarn over and slip stitch. Pull the tail here, and we just made the first slip stitch. Now to continue it's going to be a bit different. This was just to join our yarn. Now identify the first double crochet on this side of the first granny square. So we started with the yellow granny square, so we're gonna go first in this back loop of this double crochet here, and at the same time I'm going to go through the back loop only of the corresponding stitch on the pink square. So I'm gonna go in this first double crochet, insert my hook there. So you see that I have both my pink stitch and the yellow stitch on my hook, and the yarn is on the wrong side of my work, so you see it's underneath my squares. So from there I'm going to yarn over with the white yarn and pull this loop through both the pink, the yellow loop, and then also the white one. This was a bit too tight, I guess. Alright, and now we're going to repeat the same steps along all the sides. So we go in the back loop only of the next double crochet on the yellow square, and in the back loop only of the corresponding stitch on the pink square. Okay, so we have both stitches on the loop. We yarn over with the working yarn, which is underneath our work, and pull through all the loops on our hook. And we keep going like this. So back loop only of the next stitch, back loop only of the next stitch on the pink square, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. and repeat. So this time you see that we're going the back loop only of this chain 1 space, and in the back loop only of the chain 1 space on the pink square, and we do the same. We yarn over and pull through all loops. When you get to the end of this first side, join the first chain of the corner, and you're done. Your first 2 squares are joined. So now we're going to continue by adding these other 2 squares. And what we do is exactly the same as we did so far. So we're going to start working on the stitches of these 2 new squares, starting from the corner here and then going all the way up. Since we started with inserting the hook first in the yellow square, I'll do the same here. So I'll first start with the blue square and then go to the other one. Okay, so the direction is the same. Always remember to keep the yarn underneath the squares. So now from here, we go into the back loop only of this chain, which is the closest to the side that we have to join. Then we go to the corresponding chain on the green square. Pick up the white yarn that you're using, your working yarn, yarn over, and pull through all loops on your hook. And now simply go on as you did so far. When you get to the end of these next 2 granny squares, you can simply cut your yarn and fasten off. So now we're going to repeat the same exact steps in this other direction. So I'm going to turn my work, and I'll be joining my squares starting from these 2 corners and going all the way up here. So I'll take my yarn again. Remember, your work has to be above the working yarn. And I'll start joining these 2 corners. So I'll go into the back loop only. It is a bit tight because this is where I joined my last round. Pull up a loop through this loop. Okay. Go into the corresponding back loop only of this other chain on this other square. And now simply continue. So I'm going to turn my work because I find it more convenient. And now go through the back loop only of the first double crochet on this side of the blue granny square. Grab the back loop only of the corresponding stitch on the yellow square. Now the yarn over is going to happen here at the back of my work. So you see, I'm just wrapping my yarn around my hook, and then I pull it through all the loops on my hook. And we'll keep going like this. So grab both back loops of the corresponding stitches, yarn over on back, and pull up a loop. So when we go in the other direction here at the corners, make sure to join the first chain that you find here. And what I like to do is to actually slip stitch join also the second chains at each corner. Okay, so while in this direction I just joined the first chain that I found at the corners, here I like to go through both chains. okay, and then I'm gonna jump over this slip stitch join that we did on this in this other direction, and go, you see, I'm gonna grab this first chain. So normally I would go, so this is the first chain that I would join, but I'm rejoining basically these chains, you see, like this one. This chain was already joined to the blue one, and this chain here was already joined to the yellow one, okay, so pink and yellow. But this time I'm joining this chain, this back loop only, with the pink one. And then I start like normal, like so, as we normally do, from the next chain at the corner, and the corresponding chain on the other square, and keep going along the side. When you get to the first chain of this last corner, simply cut your yarn and fasten off, and your slip stitch zipper join is done. I hope that you enjoyed this video tutorial. If you did, of course, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more tutorials like this. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!